Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Better Way Thursday workshop. I'm excited about this conversation. Some days we do workshops where we're doing kind of broad career development topics that really relate to everybody and, working on networking and our resume and all these different things. And then other days we talk about specific types of careers, specific industries, specific job roles. And that's what we're doing today. So I am so grateful to have Tana and Bethany here from Rosie Ray. And I am going to let Tana just start because as I told you right before we started recording, I'm not sure exactly what you do. Like I don't have a background in this industry at all. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited to learn from you about what you do. And I'll just let you take it from here.
Yeah, that's great. Hi, I'm Tana Cofer, and I founded Rosie Ray. It's an agency that helps brands grow online, and it's mostly through Amazon and Walmart, but we also have brands that are on Macy's, we have Nordstrom, we have eBay, we have Wayfair, so other channels as well. And what I would like to talk about is how it's a fantastic career for moms in tech and moms who want to work from home. As you can see with my background, I'm actually currently on bed rest. And so I am able to run my business and help these brands grow while actually on bed rest. And similarly, Bethany works from home. She's got a baby and she's able to do her job from home as well. What I want to start with is just a little bit about my background, how I got into building what I've built, and then I'll let Bethany share her background and why she then made the jump to Rosie Ray. So my background was I went to school for PR, realized that I like math a lot better than writing. So my first internships and jobs were actually in digital marketing and learning that space. My first role, actually, one of my jobs was to kick sellers off of Amazon. And I thought that that was super unique and weird. Like, why wouldn't we want to grow the brand on Amazon? This was back in 2016. And the brand was like, no, we don't want to do that. We're an MLM. We want to grow through a different market. And so, Tana, your job is to kick off all Amazon sellers. And I put a pitch together to the CMO to say, look, we're losing money every time we do this. Like, we're losing brand awareness. And she was like, it was like a hard no, like, nope, not doing that. So then I realized I'd like to learn how to grow brands on Amazon because that's where I shop. That's where I learn about brands. So I found this tiny little company that today you probably all know as Pattern. They were called iServe. They worked in like a little warehouse. And I was their first advertising hire. They were like, "You want to learn it? Sure, sounds good." And so they hired me. And they were a very small startup at the time. Was there for 5 years, and grew to become the director of advertising, managing 20 plus people in the U.S. and then same international. So I was able to work my way up to helping brands grow online on Amazon and Walmart. And doing that was fantastic, but was really hard when I had a growing family. I had 3 kids at the time, by the time that I was leaving. And I was like, I'm missing dance recitals and all these cool things, but I'm so career driven. Like, what am I going to do, essentially? And so I decided to take a step back and freelance and work from home. And very quickly, I realized I actually could run an agency from home with the comfort of my own home and spend more time with my kids, make them lunch, put them down for a nap, do everything I wanted to do. And so that's why I decided to build Rosie Ray. And I recently hired Bethany, and I'd love for her now to share kind of her background a little bit and how she got into the space, and then why she chose Rosie Ray. And then we'll dig into what this role really is.
Yes, of course. Thanks for sharing, Tana. I just want to preface this with this is real. I also have my kid playing in the background, so he can be noisy, but if you hear him, that's what you're hearing. So, just a little bit about me. So, back in, let's see, 2021, I was hired on the brand side for a company in my hometown that was looking for somebody to really learn Amazon, but at the time they couldn't afford an experienced Amazon person. So I just really lucked out. I like to think they took a chance on me. They saw that I was someone who wanted to learn how to do it, and I was willing to take it on. So what I did there was ended a contract with a reseller who was not meeting the contract agreements for that brand, and then fully just starting from the bottom because we couldn't take over the listings because of the way the reseller had done things. So I worked on the brand side for about 2 years, and I was the only person doing everything start to finish. I was even packing the shipments for Amazon as well. So I did that for 2 years, and then I was recruited to a agency, not Rosie Ray, and I worked on the agency side for 2 years, and that really taught me more about other categories because on the brand side, I was only focused on that one brand. But working for an agency gave me experience to work with a lot of other categories and brands and different sizes as well, because between categories, strategies are different. So I did that for about 2 years. I, around the first year mark at that agency, found out I was pregnant. At that time, I was already kind of questioning my future at this agency, kind of figuring out if this was somewhere I could see myself long term. There were a lot of factors at play, but I found out I was pregnant and I decided the safe route would be to stick it through. I didn't really want to find a new job during pregnancy. It's just a really hard time. I think a lot of moms can relate to that. You just want to feel secure and you don't want to have to lie about things during interviews, even though companies can't technically discriminate. They're probably going to anyway. So I think it's something we can all relate to. But so I ended up staying through my maternity leave, and a lot of changes happened at this agency. And I remember coming back after maternity leave and just feeling, I just felt out of balance. This huge change happened in my life. I want to, like Tana said, like I want to have a career. I want to do these things. I really love working with these brands, but I don't know if this is the place for me, and I don't feel balanced with motherhood and work in this way. And I ended up having a former connection connect me with Tana when I was talking to him about, I don't know if this is where I want to be. I'm not feeling, then things at this agency weren't heading in a good direction either. And so I could already feel like the end might be coming, whether it was up to me or not. So I was connected with Tana, and I started working with her about a couple months ago, and I've never felt more balanced since coming back to work post having a baby. I'll just give you an example of what my day looked like today. I got up, my baby's now sleeping through the night. I got up at 5:30, about like 2 hours. I know, that's like the best feeling ever. I got up, I try to get up about a couple hours before him so I can get some work started for the day so I don't feel behind on anything. So I'll do like 1.5 to 2 hours of work before he gets up. And then as soon as he wakes up, it's laptop down, I can focus on him. And we play, I feed him, and then I was able to go to the gym while my husband watched him. And then once I got home, my husband had to start work. He works from home, but I want him to be focused on his career too, you know? So he starts work, and then I take the baby, we're hanging out, I put him down for a nap, back to work. He napped for an hour and a half. I worked for that whole time. He wakes up, it's laptop down. We go to the grocery store, we run errands. And so I really feel like I can be the most present mom with him while also at the same time being able to do what I like. And that's building brands on Amazon. So very long history, but that's what my day looked like today. And that's really what most days look like during the week working for Rosie Ray. And I've been telling all my family and friends how much I've loved this change because I've been able to take a step back, but I'm still able to do what I love to do.
So can I ask a quick question? Bethany, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're working part-time. Tana, you've got some of your other employees also work part-time.
I have everyone working hourly. I do not believe in salaried because as an agency, that means they're going to make you work 70 plus hours to try and get the most out of you. I believe in hourly work. The amount of hours you put in is up to you. So we have a conversation. How many hours do you want? I'll make sure you have the work for it. So
I love that.
Bethany wants like 20 to 25. I'm like, hey, I'll give you enough for 20 to 25. If you decide, hey, I'm going on vacation in a couple months. I want to ump this to 40 for a little bit. I will find a way to make that work.
Okay, super cool. Thanks for helping me understand how that works and saying you've got the flexibility to do those other things because you're also working hourly. So when you're working, you're working. When you're not working, you're focused on other things. Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, totally. It also makes it so like the holidays within obviously we grow brands on Amazon. So if the holiday something happens and you're working 9 hours that day, I want you to be paid to work 9 hours on Thanksgiving. I don't want it to be free, right? So Yeah, so what I would like to do now is share my screen and walk through when we say we help grow brands on Amazon, all the different ways that we try and do that, so that people can understand what that role would look like on a day to day. And I'll do it in the Amazon sphere that everyone sees from the front end. I'm not going to go into the back end and go into like logistics of like how we make said changes, but I'm going to walk through the front end so you as a consumer who shop Amazon know actually what it takes. So here, just confirm. Can you guys see my screen? It's just Amazon. Perfect. So as you're looking for searching, like right now I'm on bed rest, right? 38 weeks pregnant. There's several things I haven't bought in yet, like one of them being baby bottles. So I'm gonna write baby bottles, for example. Immediately what you're going to see is you're going to see an ad at the very top. Okay, this is called a sponsored brand ad. If anyone has experience in media buying of any kind, so like whether that's social media or anything, you'll be able to jump in and within just a couple weeks, like totally understand the differences and the really the lack of differences there are with advertising on other social channels versus Amazon. But you would basically be managing an ad right here to make sure that if your brand says, I want to be the first ad that appears for baby bottles, your job would be making sure that you're the first ad that appears for baby bottles, for example. Another one would be here. You see all these other ad placements. So when we talk about media buying as one of the roles, there's a few different advertising levers you could pull. One is this banner ad, you would control that. One is all of these listings that say sponsored. These are all ads. They're not organically listed here. These brands, Philips, Boone, they're paying for these spots. So your job as an account manager for a brand that wants to grow on Amazon within Rosie Ray would be to make sure that your brand is visible up here if they have the ad budget to do so. So that would be a big piece of your job. So as we scroll down, you'll then see other listings here. These are all organic listings. Now our goal is to make sure that your brand is seen on page one, right? Or the brand we're working with. And so we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they are seen on page one. So I'll click on a listing and show you some of those ways that we do that. One of those was ads, as you saw, right? Making sure we're spending on ads to get there. Another one is making sure that this listing looks top notch. So as an Amazon shopper, like most people are here, you'll see, okay, this looks really great. Like they have everything that they need. One of those being they have a title that explains what's being bought. You'd be surprised, and maybe not, maybe you had some poor shopping experiences on Amazon. You'd be surprised how many of these titles would just say baby bottle. And you're like, well, that doesn't give me enough information. It also doesn't give Amazon enough information to know if they should even serve you at the very top when someone searches glass baby bottles, for example. So your job would be to make sure these titles are optimized. And so that would be called like search engine optimization or Amazon SEO. That would be a skill you would learn how to do. And so you would be updating these titles. You would always try and look for ways that we can increase the rating and the reviews here. So there are programs we could run through Amazon to try and increase those reviews and ratings, and that would be your job to help manage. Another one are these images. So our team doesn't create the images. I'm not expecting you to come on board and be able to know how to do ads, SEO, and be able to design images. I mean, Bethany doesn't have a design background that I know of. I don't. But we tell the team, okay, these are the main images that we should have. And that brand who owns their brand voice would then say, okay, we're going to make some of those images for you. And then we would upload them. So it's our job to recommend to the brand what would be best here. And so we would recommend all of these things, for example, all of these images. Dishwasher safe. Let's have an image call out to showcase that they're dishwasher safe, for example. All of these bullet points here that consumers may read, or it's really just for SEO purposes so that when a consumer searches anti-colic baby bottle, how does Amazon know that you need to show up, right? We need to make sure that it's in the listing. So those are some of those like tactical execution things that Bethany does on a day-to-day basis, looking at all the brands that she works with to make sure that every listing that she manages is what we call optimized for a consumer to buy on Amazon. There's lots more details here, but that is from like a day-to-day level, I would say, what Bethany is in charge of on Amazon is managing the listings here. Bethany, do you have any additional call outs to that?
I guess outside of this main listing, there's also additional content and brand voice under these listings. Like if you were to scroll down, that's another thing just to add to that. I feel like there's so much more, but this is a
Yeah,
good start, like
yeah.
from what based on what the consumer sees versus what we see on the back end, it's really just, yeah, how can we make this brand succeed? That's the question we're trying to answer.
Yeah,
What
Robin.
Yeah, what do you guys do, or do you do anything? Is it your job to try to encourage reviewers, to try to manage those other things so you're getting all those top reviews and having people write good reviews? Because I look at Amazon reviews all the time. I totally use them in making my purchasing decisions.
Yeah, so it's our job when we like launch a brand to make sure they have a review strategy. And at Rosie Ray, it's very important to us that it's an authentic review strategy. So you'll see brands and you'll be like, wow, they just launched last month and somehow they have 2,000 reviews. My recommendation to you would be not to use them because those are likely bot reviews, right?
Yeah,
They're fake. Well, that's not what Rosie Ray will encourage. We will basically enroll them in programs that Amazon has, that Walmart has, that allows them to get reviews from people who actually buy. And then we'll also encourage them, hey, in your package, let's put in an insert. So when consumers get that baby bottle, they immediately get an insert that they can write an honest review. Or maybe they get a coupon for their next purchase if they write a review. Like, so we help them kind of build that review strategy. Um, Another one could also be, hey, how about you send product to your influencers, other people, and they can write a review. So we help with that management for sure. Um, and then again, yeah, we don't design the images necessarily. Sometimes they'll send us images and we're like, oh, these are great. We'll just upload them. No changes needed. Like these cute little baby photos, right? They just took the photo. They probably just sent it to the agency managing Dr. Brown's. They put this right up there. And so we would be able to do that. So if you are a mom in tech who also has a creative piece to you, you really like the creative side, this would be a great role because not only could you learn the technical pieces, it's also a lot about the brand experience and the consumer experience. And so you can manage that and you can run tests with that, which is really fun. And then all of these call outs to all these images, which for this brand, the images are mostly the same images that are in their main image section. If you notice, a lot of these are the same images from here. You can just move them over, but some brands want different images down there. So we would also manage that, upload on the back end, all of that. So if you're interested in, an Amazon brand, how they launch, how they grow, how they scale, this is a fantastic job for you. It's literally your job to do that. Um, and yeah, that would be kind of the biggest overview of what that role would entail. If I were to break it up in just a few pieces, I would say launching a brand or being an account manager at Rosie Ray would be optimizing listings, titles, and bullets. So a lot of content writing, SEO. The second one would be strategic direction. So helping brands understand the next steps that they need to take in order to keep growing, whether that be creative optimizations, whether inventory changes, Amazon advertising, whatever that would be. And then lastly is managing the marketing dollars. So that would be those ads that I shared that are on the search results page. It could be running promotions and deals, like making sure we show up for like lightning deals, for example. Um, like over here on the deals page, maybe the brand really wants to run deals. You'd be managing that experience. Um, but yeah, that is essentially the day-to-day of the role, which is why Bethany says like it's really flexible. It's not it's I don't even know how to describe it, and I'm not sure why typical agencies keep it the 9 to 5 when in reality there's so many times where there's an error or a question a brand has early in the morning. Just answer the question, go grocery shopping with your baby, come back, and then start working. Like it's a very flexible role.
Love it. So how did you train for this job? Like you said, your background was in PR and
Yeah.
advertising. Bethany, I don't know if you told us if you like went to college to learn how to do this, if you learned things on the job, but I'm guessing Tana, if your degree was in PR, then you weren't like doing, and I'd love to hear what you said, what you're thinking when you said that you realize you like numbers more than words. Like when you
Yeah.
like numbers more than writing, how is this more of a numbers type of job? How does the data all work into this?
Yeah. No, it's a great question. Um, I would say, yeah, my background was in PR. I learned in my first internship that I did, which was writing for the LDS Church, that the job of writing 3 articles a day was not exciting to wake up to. It was very stressful to me. And I really cared much more about what the people next to me were doing, which was looking at the performance of the blog that I was writing and figuring out why they were working well. And then they would tell me the keywords that were being clicked on more and the placements that were being clicked on. And I was like, man, can we switch? Like, that sounds like way more fun to me. Plus, it took me until the end of college to realize, I think, how unique it was that I was good at math. My dad's a mathematician, my brother's an actuary, my other brother's in economics. I don't know why. I just didn't think about it. I just felt like, oh, creative, fun, marketing. And then I realized no, I have a math brain. That's the brain I have. And it was not that hard to transition from getting a degree in PR, a lot of writing, over to digital marketing. It wasn't that difficult because although I went from the front end, like writing visual, to then the back end, I understood both, right?
So what is the math that you do in this job? Like what is the
Yeah.
math and the data?
Yeah. So first, Bethany, share your background, and then let me get to that part. I'll go to the data pieces on my screen while you share your background.
Yes, of course. So I think I kind of mentioned how when I was introduced to Amazon, it was more like a small company was taking a chance on me, and I was just expected to learn and teach myself. But my background before that was I was a recent grad from Utah State University, and I graduated in economics and finance. And so I, like Tana, was also, I actually almost majored in math. I really loved like calculus and those classes. But when it comes to there's such a big difference between college and actually working. Like I loved what I learned in college about finance, and I loved learning about the economy and history there. But when it came to working, a lot of the jobs in that field sounded so boring to me. Like, not to be rude, if anybody's in that field, I applaud you. But for me, it just sounded so boring. So when I heard about Amazon's huge. Like, I would love to learn those skills. And I had no idea that agencies exist or anything existed at that point. So I was just happy to learn something new, and it was so foreign to me. But I seriously just taught myself everything at that job, and then because I didn't have anybody to ask questions to, so I was all self-taught for 2 years, and then I moved to an agency, and I really got into it from there. And now I'm here. So does that answer things for you,
Yep.
Robin? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so let me share my screen again and just kind of showcase. So on a day-to-day level, as you can imagine, what brands care about is that they are hitting their numbers, right? They want to grow the brand. So all that they ask every day is, why were my sales down? Why were my sales up? And your answer can't be, well, your sales were up because I updated the bullet points. And they're like, well, what data? Like, I need more than that, right? Or I changed an image. I need more than that. And so this is what the back end of Seller Central of Amazon looks like. So it's a numbers game, right? So they're constantly showing you performance to date. And so there are different areas in here that you would look at every single day. One of those being like this business sales dashboard. Like, this is where I'm sure Bethany looks here all the time, and she's constantly looking at, okay, well, how are we performing today versus yesterday, for example? Okay, today we're in blue. Okay, well, looks like we had a huge spike yesterday, right, at 9 a.m. What happened yesterday? Why didn't we have that today? Like, you're constantly looking at the data to make those strategic decisions as to, how do I change my bullets? How do I make it visually compelling, right? And so all of it, all those decisions are made based on the data. So every day, this is where we're living. And same with like, yeah, Robin, go ahead.
So are you changing these listings every single day?
I wouldn't say we're changing them every day. I would say the levers that we every quarter will make bigger changes.
Uh-huh.
And then there's new products constantly launching, right? Or there's more inventory that they need. I would say the biggest thing that we're changing every day is the advertising. So this is like advertising, right? So I shared with you like there's different advertising levers that you can pull that are in different spots on Amazon. And that's how consumers see things like videos. Those are ads. Like so we need to make sure, are we running videos? How are they performing? And so I'm constantly in here, okay, well, how are we performing? How did we perform in February? How did we end the month? What campaigns did we spend the most on? What campaigns had the best ROI? Like this is where you're constantly living. And of course, and that's my background. I've been in ads for 10 years now. Like that's my background. And then we hire people with all different kinds of backgrounds too. Um, but this is an area that I teach the team constantly. And you can go through here and you'll then look at the performance. You'll look at, okay, well, what product is working really well? What keywords are working really well? What adjustments can I make in here based on performance? So like to get technical, for example, okay, looks like I spent more last month on size 6, 7, 9, 7 in men's of the snowboard boots. Well, which one had the best return? Or like ROAS for my ad dollars. Well, it looks like it was this one, but the rest were actually pretty good as well. What pivots should I make here? Oh wait, one of these products isn't eligible. Why can't I run ads on it? So it's constantly looking in here at the data for the performance to then decide, okay, well, why isn't this one performing as well? Is it something to do with the listing? For this one, it's ineligible. Crap, is my listing not even delivering? Is there a title issue on there that Amazon isn't serving? So that I would say it's kind of like a rabbit hole, right? Going all the way down. But we always start with the data and how it's performing, and then we make decisions and we make changes on the front end, right?
So how did you learn to do this? Like, what was your training and
Yeah.
like on the job training to learn how to do this? And also the people that you bring onto their team, how are they learning how to do it?
Yeah, so I think Bethany and I both have similar backgrounds. We taught ourselves. So Bethany had to teach herself. She probably watched YouTube videos to figure it out. I taught myself back in 2017 how to do this. A company took a chance on me, hired me to figure it out. So I learned by doing. Now, if and then at Pattern where I worked, I actually built a 2-week training program for everyone who came in with no experience on exactly what they would need to do on Amazon to like where you would click, what questions you would ask, all of that. Currently, we're a fairly small boutique agency. We only have 5 account managers, and then we have 5 overseas workers that help us with, smaller changes, but we're growing. And so we're going to be hiring more people who have less experience, and I'm now rebuilding that training program. So they would go through that as well, and they would shadow people like Bethany, like myself, like our other account managers, to watch how they communicate with brands, watch the performance and how they interact. So it would be a bit of, watching videos that I've put together in those trainings, and then a lot of on the job hands learning, because every single brand, as you can imagine, wants a different experience on Amazon. They want to be looked at differently, right? And they all have nuances. So you can never be you'll never know everything, and it's okay. We've accepted it. You'll never know how to advertise in every category. Like I'm doing my first recycled golf ball category. How do you even do that? Like it's very different, right? And so there's always new categories you'd learn. But that's what's really nice about this team is I've currently hired only experienced people so that as I now can have the space and the time, we can hire people that we can train up so that they can have the same experiences that Bethany has, that I have, etc.
So it sounds like a great job for someone who always wants to be learning, right?
Oh,
Because you have to
totally.
be learning all the time.
Constantly learning all the time, asking questions. You have to be comfortable. Yeah, the biggest thing is you have to like data, you have to like numbers, and then you have to be willing to talking to brands, because that's what you're going to do. Part of the time is also talking to the brand and showcasing the experience, but then asking questions internally, talking to Amazon support. Hey, why isn't this working? So you need to be super open and communicative in this role.
So you're doing external calls, communicating with your brands,
Yeah.
finding out what they want, giving them recommendations. and then you're doing tons of internal work and maybe helping each other out, right?
Absolutely.
And understanding things.
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's just no way you'll know. Like, I mean, just this morning, someone on the team asked, like, where can I see the fees that a brand is charging? And Bethany's like, oh, I know that answer. It's over here. Because there's so many different areas. Or Amazon decides to move things around. Like, every tool is the same, every tech, every app. Where did this tab go I used to have, right? And so we have that team that communicates so we can help each other. So,
So another question, I know that when I've heard people talking about SEO or different things like that, they're saying, "Oh, Google's always changing their algorithm. They're doing different things." Does that I know that happens with organic for sure. I'm guessing that also happens for paid. Is that something that you're always having to stay on top of as well as you're working with Amazon and Walmart and the other selling platforms that you're working on?
absolutely. Yep, it's the same. And unfortunately, there's no like these are the keys to get page 1, right? Here you go. It's like oh wait, I was on page 1, now I'm on page 3. What happened? What dropped? What algorithm change? And what's really nice is we all have experience, we all have different contacts, we all see different things on LinkedIn. Like we're all part of different communities where we all can learn and try and figure this out. Um, but I would say for the most part, one of us usually catches it and is like, oh, okay, looks like the conversion rate changed, or it looks like Amazon just added this new fee. That's why everyone's profits just went down. Like, so that's something that we all work together to find.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So,
But
oh, I just had a really good question. What was it? Oh yeah, for someone who's interested, like in looking at this as a
yeah,
career,
yep,
starting at the very beginning, what are the literal job titles of people
yeah.
doing this work as they move from early stage career to later stage career?
Yeah, so likely what you'll see is like Amazon specialist or Amazon account manager. So don't get scared by the word manager. In this space, in digital marketing and everything in general, usually it means you're managing money and you're managing an account, not people. So I would not shy away from clicking on those, although like I recognize why at first you'd think like I couldn't manage all of Amazon and right, like no, account manager, or it'll say like specialist or strategist. Those are usually the words that you would see. And it's gonna say Amazon or it's gonna say account management. Um, yeah, so very similar to like social media marketing titles, but replace social media with Amazon or e-commerce or account manager is what I would say. And then that pay range, depending on your experience level, if you have very little experience, well, at Rosie Ray, we pay closer to $25 an hour for those starting people to learn and come in. Um, and they'll be trained, overseen by, Bethany and myself. Um, but very quickly as you get experience, we increase that hourly rate because again, we do hourly, not salaried. So once you have more brands and you are now the lead on the account, it's not Bethany as the lead and you learning, you'll then be able to receive those hourly raises. From a salaried perspective, I mean, everything's different. It's really hard to say exactly, but I would say you'd probably be looking at starting if you're full time between that 50 to 60K range, probably. But without a degree in this or without any experience, it's going to be hard to jump right in. So, my biggest recommendation too is hey, if you're wanting to learn and you're wanting a place to be, even just for a year or two, Rosie Ray could be a great spot because we work with small to medium sized brands. So a little less stress, harder to grow, I'll be honest. A lot more leverage you have to pull, but a little less stress, and then you can work from there. And Bethany and I know a lot of people. So if you ever wanted to move to full time somewhere else, W-2, salaried, outside of the home, I have an in-it pattern, obviously, we can help you kind of move in that direction as well.
So, for people who were taking a more traditional pathway, if
Yep.
they were studying this in college, would they be majoring in marketing? Is that the degree that people would do to get prepared for this?
Yeah, I would say like if you're in school right now thinking about what to do, I would do probably marketing or statistics, or if you wanted to go the other route, you could do a more generic communications degree. That would be totally fine. It is much more experience driven than it is in the exact degree that you would get. I would just say those who are more, technical, a little bit more on the math side, as opposed to the creative side, you need both. but a little more on the math side, because those are the people you're going to be working with on the other side. People who run the brands are looking at the P&L every day. And so even if the creatives look great, they're like, well, I love that you did that. I love that you recommended great creatives, but my sales aren't going up. So why is that? And you need to have an answer.
Okay, amazing. So, what's the top end? Like if you
Yeah.
are experience working part-time, hourly, like what's the top end you could earn? And then if you were a full-time salaried employee, what's the top end you could earn maybe with, let's say, like 10 years experience doing this?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of I'm gonna say salary number because hourly is always flexible, right? But from a salaried perspective, I definitely know people who make over 200K doing what they're doing. For sure. There's a huge in the agency world, but break that down by hours, you are working 70 plus hours at an agency, so you can do the math there. But still, you can make very high. Um, I would say a very high good living with, even only like 5 to 10 years of experience if you find the right place. Um, so definitely a higher range. From an hourly perspective, like from a Rosie Ray perspective, there's really not a cap. I would say it's more like come in for a couple months. Let's see how it's working. Okay, you want to make more an hour? Awesome. Let's talk about adding another brand to your load, or maybe I need to add a bigger brand to your load. Because for me as an owner, it's just a numbers game and making sure my P&L is good too, right? And so for us, the higher you go, the more and the longer you're with us, the more money you'll make.
I love it. I love to see that there's tons of great opportunity here, but lots of different ways to do it.
And one thing I would also say too, what's great about learning these skills, and Bethany, feel free to come in, but by learning all of these skills, I actually personally launched my own brand because you learn so much. I'm like, well, if I know how to grow everyone else's brand, I can now grow my own, and which is a lot of people's dreams is to own their own business of some kind. I would say Rosie Ray, we provide a ton of flexibility as if you ran your own brand, as if you ran your own agency. Bethany can tell me if I'm wrong there, but yeah, I think you get a lot of the flexibility there. But to get the ownership, maybe this would really move you in that direction because you would then know how to know, is my product idea good enough? Would I make money? You would know exactly how to calculate that on Amazon and know how to do it. Like it would give you all the prep needed to actually run with your ideas that most moms in tech have, right? And so this is a great way also to kind of get you started there into the entrepreneurship journey, which is why I really recommend it to people who are very creative as well. I'm like, this is the spot where you should be.
Can you tell us what your brands are? Because I remember you telling me before, and they were super fun. Just to get an idea of what you mean when you say you could launch your own brand.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a brand. It's called Glitter Faced to play off the word shit faced. Not everyone can get shit faced, but everyone should get glitter faced. And it's edible glitter for drinks, and it's in a liquid drop form. Super fun and different. I launched it last year, really because I saw an opportunity on Amazon. That space was not crowded, and I had a lot of negative reviews. People didn't really like the experience. I felt like I could elevate it and make it better, and so I did. So I launched my own selling account. I made my own listings. I went to Canva and made some creative. Like I did everything that we recommend other people do to start, and I just did it for myself. And that's something that anyone who works on Amazon for a couple years can physically do, and that's I think is really cool.
Yeah, love it. All right, so here is a big question that we are always exploring at Tech Moms
Okay.
is how is AI disrupting your industry, the work that you do, and the careers of people who are doing this work?
Yeah, I would say we are very fortunate that AI is helps us in our job. There's a lot of tech out there that can really benefit brands growing on Amazon that that we currently leverage a little bit of. I mean, some as basic as ChatGPT to write my initial bullet points to get me started, right? It's something that we can do, or just overall like bid changes for Amazon management. So I would say that there is a lot of AI coming into play in a positive way, for Rosie Ray, and it allows us to leverage more tech to make our jobs easier. So in the future, Bethany could run, if she wanted to, she could run more brands in different categories if she wanted to. So I would say for us, it's only going to benefit us. It will never replace Bethany's role. It can't. It physically cannot do that.
So Bethany, how do you use AI in your day-to-day work of the things that you're doing? Like, what are the different tools that you use?
Yes, great question. Sometimes I find myself using it more to brainstorm, like Tana said, to get me started. Okay, I need a new idea on something regarding the creative, or I'll even use AI. Like Canva has a new AI that I was experimenting with to give me an idea for some images, some of those infographics that Tana was sharing on that baby bottle page. But it's never the end result. At least not for me, it isn't. I'm not just going to plug something in a chat GPT copy paste. It's usually to get me started or like read through this. What edits would you make? Or what, I don't know. It's more just to brainstorm and to help rather than to replace, if that
And
makes sense.
Amazon, kind of like Google, if you've heard this, like Amazon can recognize a lot of AI stuff and they don't like it.
Yeah.
So if you launched an image that was AI driven, only download from ChatGPT or Canva AI upload, it would not be approved. It would not be scraped. Like, you wouldn't have the SEO benefits too. So, it's something that is kind of nice because we can use it for that. But there are very rare cases where I've actually heard of people saying, I made my whole listing through AI. Amazon is definitely red flagging that,
Yeah.
which makes us feel good too. It's like Amazon's not trying to replace us either, right? So it's just enhancing.
How about on the back end for your analytics? Are there AI tools that you use on the back end?
I mean, we have some tools that we plug in for reporting that help us,
Mhm.
but I would say they're not quite AI driven yet. And when they do, it will only benefit. I would say they're more machine learning, is what you would call it. Is like, if this happens, make this change, if that makes sense. So not quite AI.
Okay. So what is your favorite part about working in e-commerce and running your own agency, Tana? Amazing.
Yeah, my favorite part about working in e-commerce, man, I've I've worked in e-commerce for so long. I would say it's personally, I like working in a space that I know impacts everyone. Everyone shops on Amazon. So I like that it impacts everyone. Um, but then also it's a space that when I find and fix problems, it it positively affects me in my life and my shopping behavior. And that I think is really cool. Um, and so that's what I would say. And then running my own agency is the best thing I did for myself. I would say the driven nature that I am, that Bethany can speak to, and go, go, go nature of who I am, I had reached my cap. And as a redheaded woman, in this space. And redhead doesn't need to be added, but I like to add it.
I love
There was not a seat at the big table for me at really any agency I talked to. They just there wasn't a seat for me, and I tried my best to what people say, well, make a seat for you. I really tried, and when I did try, I just was not successful. So I had to make my own table. I had to make my own space. So creating this agency allowed me to do that, and I could confidently hire the people who I wanted at the table with me. And so that's what I would say really makes me happy moving forward. I also get to run it with my husband, which is really cool. And that's a lot of people who would want to work with their husband because not everyone would want to. They can't really see that them doing that because they're in two different fields. But my husband was in sales for a while and he was like, "Man, I can sell your services to anyone. You're my wife." And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it."
Do it.
You know?
I worked with my husband and I did not like it. So
Yeah.
I love that you do. It's not for everyone. My husband and I started a company together, and after a few years, I said I have to choose between my company and my marriage. So I'll choose my marriage, and I walked away from the company. But I love because for the people who can do it, it's amazing, right? Because you're
Yeah.
so aligned in your vision, like we both need us to be successful. So
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yes.
Uh, Bethany, what's your favorite part about this job? Both like broader in the work of working in e-commerce and then your specific job.
Yes, I would say my favorite part about it is it's like a favorite and least favorite at the same time because it can be frustrating, but it's always changing. And so I never feel bored in my work. I always have to learn something new. There's always something left to learn. And if you're the type of person, like at other jobs before my first job in Amazon, I would get so bored because I would learn it and then it's like, okay, you just go to work and you do the same thing every day. And I was like, whoa, I cannot do this until I retire. That's a no thank you for me. So I would just say the fact that it's always changing and I always have to push myself. And then I guess since becoming a mom, my favorite thing also about this field is that most jobs are remote or can be flexible, hybrid, remote. And so I still get to do this at the same time. He's very vocal right now. But I still get to do this at the same time. So does that answer your question, Robin?
It totally does. So
Thank you.
if you were talking to someone who had interest in this, weren't really sure if they were ready to like dive into, okay, I'm going to go get a job in this, I'm going to go get a college degree in this or whatever. Are there resources where people could dabble? You said mentioned like YouTube videos. How could women start to learn, dabble in this a little bit
Yeah.
and understand, oh yeah, I would like to pursue this more.
Well, anyone can be certified. Anyone can be Amazon advertising certified, Amazon management certified. There's a ton of them you can do online through Amazon. It's called through Seller Central University is what it's called.
So
So,
Amazon offers their own certifications for you.
yep,
Okay.
yeah, and
Is
they're
it
they're
free to
free.
do or just okay?
Yep, they're free. You can go through and get the certifications so you have them, and then you can take them to the brand. I always liked that when people came to me wanting a job and I don't have experience, but I did all the certifications. Like I did everything I could to learn. I'm like, sweet. And if you did that and you knew you wanted to do it, that's a huge indicator. And then I would say YouTube. A lot of people have put forth a lot of training on YouTube that you can go. Those would be more one-off, like how do I build a campaign? As opposed to like the whole
Yeah,
ecosystem. So that's where I would start. And then if you really like that, if that gets you really excited, then this is probably the space for you. And you could start looking for an entry level job where they'll teach you. And there are several of them here in Utah where they will teach you. But there's also a lot of people who do have some experience. And
mhm,
so if you still need to be taught, another thing that I recommend doing is maybe trying to find a freelance client, someone who like would pay you very bare bones to figure it out on the side of what you're doing, so then you at least have a brand and some experience that you could take to an employer and say, "Do the certifications, been running this brand for 6 months. I've learned so much. I'd love to come in and run six more at your company."
I love it. This has been super helpful. Is there anything else you wanted to say at either one of you, Tana or Bethany, that we didn't talk about, the questions I didn't ask that you want people to know?
Hmm. I mean, I would just say I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and I have at least 10 more to go. Like, I'm not like tired of it. I'm not done. And so I think that that showcases how fun this field could be and how much it's also growing. It's not a field that's dying out. And what's really exciting is you still today can't go get a degree in e-commerce,
Yeah,
like growth. Like you can't, which is just blows my mind. I probably will be the first one to teach the course at UVU. I pitch it
right.
every quarter. One day they'll listen. They'll teach Google, they'll teach Facebook, but they're not teaching actual e-commerce marketplaces. So the fact that someone could jump in now, become that specialist, it is extremely valuable. Bethany could get a job anywhere right now, right? So could I.
Yeah,
And I think that's really cool, and that's not the same for all other tech fields.
I love it. Super helpful. All right. Well, thank you so much to both of you. This was so informative. I learned
Yeah,
so much today. I love
good.
it. So, everybody, thanks for joining us. And we will see you at next week's Better Way Thursday workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you.